Hello everyone, and welcome to section 5, which is on numbers. In this first lesson, we're going to take a look at just some number examples, why it's important to format these properly, kind of going into it, and the other videos will go into specific types of numbers that you can format it in. Now, numbers will be in the format. You can go to numbers and choose a wide range of options. In this, they're kind of arranged by numbers, currency, and date and time. You can also do custom of these numbers, dates, or currencies. And all of these play a very key role. Now, first off, it'll go automatic. So as you type, it'll kind of automatically choose what kind of number the spreadsheet believes you're in. And generally that works, but sometimes if you're in different regions, or there are different formatting rules that you want, it's not always exact. In this, we're going to take a look at some example and how we can use different types of numbers and what they will show up as. Even though the value of them or the number is the exact same, they look a lot different. So in this example, we're going to take a look at these, numbers. So this is what the value stored in each cell will be. And depending on how you format it, it'll actually look different. So I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to highlight those, go to Format, Number, and Plain Text. In plain text, you can see that it goes to the left side, and it pretty much looks identical. Now, this example is actually in plain text, and so that's why they look the same. However, switching the format will change how the number actually looks. So let's paste it in here, go to Format, and go to Number. By default, you can see that there's the comma after every 3. There's the period or decimal point, and then it goes by 2. So you can see that these are, different, especially this one here, although these ones are identical. When you click in, the stored value is pretty much the same outside of this one is now just 0.9 because, the 0 at the end doesn't make a difference to value. A couple things that you can do if you want is up here, you can actually decrease or increase. So if you decrease it, you'll actually round it and it will go to whatever place that is. So the max is there, and then decimal points, you can, add more numbers if you want. So let's go back to the 2. If you do this on plain text, it's not going to happen because this is not stored as a number. Another key indicator of if it's stored as a number or plain text, and this could be huge if you're inserting data from another source, is that if it's set and you haven't changed the alignment up here, if it's on the left, it's going to be plain text. If it's on the right, it's a number. Now again, you can take this plain text and move it to the right, and now you won't know, is this a certain formatting rule or is it plain text? So just pushing Control Z to undo. So it's generally best practice when you're working with numbers and plain text to not mess with these rules, because you won't know by default, did someone change this and we don't know, is it an actual number or if it's plain text? So if you do something like this, you won't know which ones are numbers and which ones are plain text. Control Z to undo. Now let's take this, paste it in, and we're going to switch the format from this number to percent. Now here you can see the percent, like 90, that would be 90%. So it's, 90%. This one's like 100% and so on. So if you take those numbers, even though this is formatted in this percentage, it was 9,000, and now it, added the 2 zeros to make the percentage. One thing to note is if you have this formatted as a percentage and then you go 9,000, it's just going to show 9,000. Keep that in mind as you're using the percentages, because when you paste it in, it's going to look different than if you're adding it from a percentage now. So like if you want something to be 10% and you put a 10 in there, it's going to show that. Whereas if you switch the number format to a number, then it's going to switch to 0.10, which would be 10%. So I'm just going to undo, undo, undo to kind of show this is what the number would look like if you changed it. So next, we're going to do scientific. So I'm pasting those numbers in again, format, number, and then we'll go to scientific. So here it just shows to the third power, so it's 9 to the third, aka 3 zeros behind it. Here is 9 to the negative 1 power, which would be 0.9, and then to the no power. So again, that's if you're using larger numbers for something, or, scientist might want that. The last one we're going to look at quickly is the custom. Now, there's a lot more you can do, but I wanted to at least introduce it here. We'll look at it in depth a little bit more because there's, again, a ton of stuff worth an entire lesson. So there is custom currency, date and time, or number. Here you can see there I have some different ones, like for phone numbers, some different number ones to start with 0, stuff like that. In this case, let's take a look at, first off, maybe you want some text, like it's over, and then you can have the number. So it's going to be it's over this. And then maybe you want, so hit apply. And here you can see it's over all of these numbers. Now, for these ones here, I didn't specify if I wanted it to, show different points. So you can either back these up or in the custom format, do that. The other thing is that negative sign is going to be on that side. So you might need to have another rule in there to, show that it's actually a negative number. So if we go back to the rules, and you can do something like this. It's over this, put a semicolon, which then you can see there's the positive and then negative. And so now you can choose if it's a negative, you might want to say something like it's under, might have the negative sign, and then put the number dot 2 zeros, meaning you always want to have the decimal places there. And then, maybe you want a sad face as well. Apply. Now you're going to get this problem. This is formatted as a table, and so you can't set the number format of a typed column. That's what it's saying. So basically you'd have to go to the column type, put none, and then go to format. Let's pick that sad face one. Oops. Let me try that again. Format, number. You might have to go back to the number format. Apply. Okay. I still get the error, which is a little strange. Again, this is because I have it formatted as a table. I feel like there's still a few bugs with it. But in any case, you can see from doing that, you have the it's over and then the under with the sad face. So these are silly examples. I would never use this. But there are applicable senses where you might want to have like a green up arrow or a red down arrow. If you have emojis, you can put emojis in these for different, if it's increasing, decreasing, things like that. You can add text to it that just, could be useful or not, like a positive, negative, and there's a lot more that you can do with it. So probably typically people want to do something like custom format, like maybe you want some zeros at the very front. So let's do, instead of this, for all of them, we want to have it go up to, this many zeros, and then the number, and then 2 zeros at the end. So all texts are going to always have 4 zeros, or rather 4 digits plus whatever the number is, then 2 zeros at the back. So if I hit apply, push OK, you can see here that there's always those zeros, and then there's going to be the -1. Now note here, there wasn't any zeros. So if I wanted there to be always 5 zeros, if there's none, you can go back to that number. And then instead of having this, which is just any number that's there, just put another 0, apply. And then that means that there's always going to be 5 digits no matter what. And then the number, if there is one, like here, there's 4 plus 1, which is 5 digits, and then 2 digits behind it. That's a little bit better than it's over 9,000, but I thought that was funny. So if you thought it was funny, awesome. Probably 2 people will. So anyway, these are numbers. And again, we'll go into more detail of the different options of custom, and I'll explain a little better than using an old meme. This is all that we're going to do for the first one in these number examples. I did want to quickly show you a couple of keyboard shortcuts. So here is a table, and if you're making the copy, you can have access to this. It's also on Google's website to show all of the different ones, but this is the Mac and Windows shortcuts. So if you have a number like 1000 and you do a Control-Shift-1, you'll switch it to decimal. 2 is time, 3 is date, 4 is currency, 5 is percentage, and 6 is the exponent, which is the scientific. So that's a super helpful way for you to be able to quickly change the number format. And if you saw, there's a lot of differences, like 12 a.m., but then it's in 1902 for the date and time. And if you're looking at the bottom, you can see why I have 4 of them on dates and times, because those take a bit to understand how that is stored and how that works. Finally, I have a few number functions as well. Now, there are more, but these are the ones that I found myself using. The other ones are more if you're in a very specific scientific or, some pretty intense calculations. So I think the majority of us will use these ones. If you haven't already, you can go to this document, which shows every single function that Google Sheets has to offer. Other thing is I have this video that I actually showed how you can import all of those functions using the query function and import HTML. So if you want to have this table with every single one rather than just these ones I chose, you can. But some of these you can round up, you can round down, you can sum, you can do sums with ifs, you can count some blank ranges, count ifs, you can count unique, and the decimal, even, is odd, absolute value is a number. And there's even more apart from that. So you can take a look at that. I'm not going to go through all of these, but just by reading them, you can kind of understand what options you have with functions and numbers. That's all that we're going to do today for this one. In the next lesson, we'll look at currencies, and then we'll kind of go through the different number options like dates and times, elapsed times, and go from there. So hopefully you found this helpful, and do the YouTube things, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate all of the interactions in that sense, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye now.